Welcome to Seeking God in the Wait. This is going to be our last video of season 1. Woo woo! So in this episode, what we're going to talk about is our engagement period, which is pretty awesome. So we're going to leave it up to you. I'm going to just ask you what that looked like and what were some of the things we kind of got out of that moving.
Yeah, well, so this was after Travis had come out to Germany to visit my family. I had already been to California. We were doing the long distance thing, and I, said, hey, I'll come out to the US for 3 months, just so that we can get to know each other more in person, do relationship, not just, long distance, but actually spend some time in person. And I flew out here with my one suitcase, and 2 weeks later, Travis decided to pop the question. And it was a very fun engagement day.
By the way, you can check that out on our video page. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
If you like pirates, especially, and treasure hunts.
Yeah, so he took me on a treasure hunt, which was so fun. And yeah, I, with my whole heart, said yes. Because we just had so much peace from God and just from the people around us and inside of us. I think we just had so much peace about our relationship and that we wanted to move forward, and that this was something that we wanted for the rest of our lives. So we get engaged 2 weeks into my time here. Yeah, so we get engaged, and our engagement was pretty short. We had a 4-month engagement. Well, relatively short, I guess. But we said, why wait super long? Let's have enough time to plan our wedding, but also give enough time for people to come out to the wedding. But there were a few other things that were important to us during our engagement time that we really wanted to spend time doing. And I think sometimes people overlook, it's like you get engaged and the next thing you think of is the wedding, which that is the next event. But it's also a time where you prepare for your marriage and where you actually have this unique window of time to invest into and lay foundations for your marriage. So,
So what would you say for us, what were like 3 things that you can look back on and say, these were absolutely critical for what we were looking to accomplish within that time period?
This was a time where we were getting to know each other like more in person, which was super valuable. We pretty much spent every day together because I wasn't fully working, I didn't have a car, so I was really dependent on it. But we spent a lot of time together in person, in community, but also one-on-one. But something that we really valued and that we spent time doing was marriage counseling. So we actually had a marriage counselor who did like a week by week thing with us. We actually had gone through the topics of a book that we had read together while we were dating. And we had asked each other questions about those different topics. And it was like, finances, what's your love language? All kinds of topics that you need to know about for when you get married, and things that are, just so important to think about that you might not think about if you're just in love and you're dating and having a great time. But these were topics that, even made us ask the hard questions. So,
like, are you a gold digger? And do you want just a man that's going to be a millionaire?
That's all I wanted. Please sign me up.
Or how are you with your money?
All I actually wanted was a green card, so I got it.
Cost me a lot of money too.
Just kidding. like marriage counseling for us was really key, something important.
It was really key, really important for me because I felt like there's a lot of people out there that don't understand really what marriage is, right? And I feel like there's a lot of people that are just kind of jumping into it. And for me, we talked about this before, but marriage is till death do us part, right? So that was what you're talking about with the preparation is really, what does this mean? Like, what are we getting ourselves into? Like, this is a life commitment. Is this the person I really want to spend the rest of my life with? So what that did is it really challenged us to ask those hard questions. And when you have somebody from the outside kind of guiding you through this, somebody that's been through it and experienced, it's super beneficial. So
I think even just one exercise I remember doing was, it asked us like a whole row of questions, like who's going to vacuum in your house? Who's going to be doing the cooking? Who's going to go working? Who's going to, raise the kid? Or just like, who's going to be in charge of finances? Who's going to do the yard work? Like, those are things that I think, sometimes we think about and sometimes we just don't, because we think that it's normal for the guy to do, all the man work in the house and hang up the frames and the lights and stuff like that. But a lot of women do that and some men don't do that, and so it just all depends on also how you've been raised. And so I think just going into marriage with open expectations and clear, communication about those expectations, that was really good for us. To talk things out like that beforehand. So there weren't like huge surprises like, what? You can't do this, or you don't do this, you don't cook, So, so I think that was really, really, really key for us. Because you're not just investing into your wedding, which, that takes a lot of prep and planning, but you're also investing into your marriage long-term. And that's really what it's about. The wedding is one wonderful, fabulous day. But your marriage lasts for hopefully a lifetime.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point, because a lot of people think, they hear this word counseling and they think like something's wrong.
Right.
Where realistically, counseling is not a bad thing. If your intent is to actually build something, build a strong foundation, why not gain wisdom from somebody that's actually been through it or has, the experience in all these areas to help you build a strong foundation in your marriage. And, but there was another thing as far as building a strong foundation. What was the other thing?
Yeah, I think what was really important for us, because this was the first time that we had spent, longer period of time together in person, was just setting really good boundaries for each other, for ourselves, and like physical boundaries, wanting to know what's our goal in our relationship as far as our purity goes, and then setting boundaries according to that. And those can look different for each person. And that's something that you kind of have to talk through with each other and just be really open and say, hey, look, this is something that I've struggled with, or something that I, just that would be too far for me or too close. And I feel like I wouldn't have a clear conscience anymore if we did this, So I think we personally said, like, let's set, wider boundaries, not as tight as possible and as close to the oh no line. But let's set, wider boundaries. So in case you do cross those boundaries, it's not the end, it's not like, oh my gosh, now we totally messed up. But there's, and there's always grace. There's grace for even if you do mess up. But I think like setting your goal high and really aiming for that, and then keeping each other accountable, talking through them, and, let's say something you did get a little bit closer than you were hoping to, and just kind of reflecting on that and saying like, it was nice, but I just don't think we should do that again, or let's stay away from that so that we don't, go too far. And we don't, push each other's buttons, which can just so quickly escalate. So,
yeah, and I think that was kind of a basis of love, right? Like wanting what's best for the other person, well, causing the other person to stumble isn't going to bring glory to God in the relationship. And I think for us, we really wanted to make sure that we stepped into marriage doing everything right, so that we would be blessed and know that we wouldn't carry into our marriage this guilt and shame. And again, like Johanna said, there's people that have messed up, and there's grace for that. But for our story, we wanted to set the boundaries and say, hey, we don't want to step into this, because if we do, there's no going back. Yeah. Right.
And we also had external people who could ask us any time, like, how are you guys doing on your boundaries? Where we honestly had to share, like, how have we been doing? So I think that's another good thing, like to have not just each other as accountability, but outside people that you trust, Yes.
Yeah. And then what was the third thing that we talked about with
what was the third
God
thing?
First? That should have been the number one thing. Get a little sidetracked, but it's still in there.
Yes. For us, it just was really important that, we would start our relationship with God as the center. And that looked like praying together, in the morning, spending time before, I dropped him off at work, and just spending time in prayer together, talking through things and bringing things before the Lord, reading the word together, discussing things and seeing, growing spiritually together, not just, in like of each other and physically and emotionally and planning, but really laying that foundation of Christ needs to be the center of our lives. And no matter what situation we're facing, even in this engagement period, like, let's bring it before the Lord and ask him what to do and how to do it. So yeah, that was also just really, really good. And I think really sweet also, because it gives you just a different view into a person's heart when they start sharing about what they think and how they feel about the Lord and what they've experienced or what they're experiencing with God, what their takeaway is from the scriptures that you've just read. So yeah, and that's something that we, took into our marriage, and something that we strive to, just to keep Christ as the center, even if sometimes it's hard and you kind of slack off, but, kind of always bringing that back into focus, because ultimately, we're here to glorify him.
Yeah. And for us, again, the whole purpose of getting engaged was getting that to the next steps for marriage. But that was the time that we were trying to establish something and create something that would go into our marriage, that we can build as a foundation to move into something even better when we say I do. So yeah, so this is the engagement side of things. It's pretty much the end of season 1. So yeah, it's been really good.
Yeah, it's been so nice. Yeah, just sharing our story with you guys. We hope you've enjoyed it and we're able to take things away from it.
Yeah, and what we want to do next is the next few episodes, we do want to kind of get you guys involved a little bit. For us, we've experienced a lot. God's given us a lot of wisdom in this area, and we're passionate about it. We love working with singles. We love working with people that are dating, just because it's a fun time in your life. But a lot of times people go into it blind. So our hope is that we will be able to encourage those single people that are looking to be married to really seek God while you're waiting, right? We're waiting for that marriage, or we're waiting for that next big thing. And what are you doing in the meantime? Like, how are we doing this? Are we seeking God? And that's our passion. So what we want to do is open it up. If you guys have any questions or want us to talk about anything specific, make sure you guys write that down in the comments. And don't forget, this is my wife's favorite thing. She loves when people say subscribe
and press the like button.
But here's the thing. If you guys love Johanna and you think she's the most amazing woman in the world, then subscribe.
No. If you want to know more and hear more and be on top of it and get our videos when we do post them, which is not every week, but it's sometimes sporadic, then you can subscribe if you want to. If you don't want to, feel free not to. You really don't have to.
So what she's saying is, if you really love Johanna and you think she's awesome, push that subscribe button. All right, guys, we love you guys.
Take care. Have
Enjoy.
a good one.
You love that subscribe button, don't you?